Did the kids look at you and say, I wonder how long she's going to be here?
I think so. They used to say, like, they haven't said it for a while, but they used to say things like, when you and Carolyn break up, Dad.
You're listening to the Nacho Kids Podcast, where we discuss all things step-family related. Real stories, real people, real help. Your hosts are the creators of the Nacho Kids Method and the Nacho Kids Academy Step Family Coaching Team, Lori and David Sims.
Welcome to episode 159 of the Nacho Kids Podcast.
Welcome, one and welcome all.
David, I forgot to tell who won the scholarship last week.
Oh, does that mean we got two?
Yes, that's what it means. So the winner of the Nacho Kids Academy Scholarship, courtesy of Linda Dunham, is Bianca G. and Wilson.
All righty. Is that like the guy on TV that all you see is his eyes over the fence?
No, I don't think that's him.
It's the only Wilson I know.
So Bianca G. and Wilson, check your email and we will get you started in the Nacho Kids Academy.
Yep. We'll see you on the inside.
See you on the inside. Okay. What we got going on, David? What we got going on? Nothing. Okay. Our guest today.
We got stuff going on, but we can't talk about it.
Our guest today is Carolyn. She has been blending for 3 years, has stepdaughter 9, stepdaughter 11, and stepdaughter 13 full time. Also has bio son 21, bio son 17, and bio daughter 14. They have the stepkids full time because bio mom passed away when the baby was 6 weeks old. Very sad. The hardest part of blending for her has been learning how to deal with emotional triggers.
Oh, yeah.
It's not easy, folks, but once you can identify them and learn to avoid them or cope with them better, it can be life-changing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Best advice, keep communication open and focus on your marriage or relationship with your significant other.
Oh, I definitely wholeheartedly agree.
Something unique, one of her bio kids and one of her stepkids have the same name.
Oh, my goodness. That's got to be fun.
I thought that was pretty cute. All right, David, so let's talk about something.
What's on your mind?
Going to get ice cream.
Okay.
There's this place in town, y'all, that has strawberry cheesecake ice cream, and it's so good. And David happened to say after we got through eating dinner, hey, let's go get ice cream. So it said it was closed on Facebook, but I happened to call. And I said, what time do you close?
Are you mean to tell me you can't trust Facebook?
No, you can't trust Facebook.
What was that? Somebody was telling me the other day, said they were talking about something, and I heard the other person go, it's got to be true. It was on Facebook. I was like, I hope they're just being like joking around when they say that.
Was that when I said that about the weather, that your dad said it was going to be really hot next week? And I said, it's true. I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, it's going to be hot here next week. In the hundreds, folks, in the hundreds.
Mm-hmm.
Lori don't like to sweat.
You don't sweat, you glisten.
It's called sweat. And it's like a sprinkler. Makes me want to move somewhere that's like 77 degrees all year around.
Like Hawaii.
Is it 77 degrees all year around there?
No.
What? No, man.
I don't know what it is all year round. I know it's comfortable, though.
All right, so what's going on? What's going on?
I can't talk about any of the things going on in my life right now.
Yeah, that's right. We can't. And we're going to have listeners going, what? What is it? What is it?
Yeah, until all the next of kin are notified.
That sounds horrible.
I mean, but that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, hopefully your next of kin don't listen to this.
Yeah, I don't think they do.
But sure enough, they would.
Yep.
If we said something.
Yep.
So in the next few weeks, we have a surprise for y'all.
Yeah, maybe. No promises on this one.
Yeah. David, you can't be vague like this with our listeners because that's crappy. That's like somebody saying, hey, David. Oh, never mind. I can't tell you.
Well, that's what I'm doing. Wrong. Hey, y'all. Guess what? I can't tell you. This might be one of those ones where you just have to nacho.
Oh my goodness. I'll tell y'all once the next of kins have been.
We'll only tell those in the academy. That's it. We're not telling everybody on podcast.
David, that's crazy. You can't be like that. That's rude, crude, and socially unacceptable.
Sounds exactly like how I want to be.
It sounds like you. It definitely sounds like you.
Since I'm a toxic person.
Oh, the Step Family Summit is coming up.
That's right. Yeah.
With Claudette. It's coming up in September, folks. Not long.
Oh my gosh. Is it really September? Not that far away?
Well, it's June.
Yeah. What, 3 months?
Yeah. We got a lot of work to do for that.
Jeez Louise, man. This year's flying.
It is. The older you get, the faster time flies.
Seems that way, don't it?
Great words of Pawpaw Brown. All right, folks. Apparently, David don't have a lot to say, and that might not be a bad thing. So let's just get to listening.
No.
But first, he's got to tell us about the Nacho Kids Academy.
I can't even tell you about that.
Yes, you can. You can tell people that we teach them to identify their triggers and help them to cope with them or avoid them. And we help them change their thinking and be more positive and just better their life.
Yeah. Everything she said, and then some.
And then some.
And if you join today, we'll even send you a coupon for ice cream.
Now, I'm going to have somebody email me and say, I joined today and I didn't get no coupon for no ice cream.
Well, the coupon's going to be for the ice cream place here in town.
Well, good. Then they can come hang out with us.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, if you join and you make your way to where we live by the end of the year, I'll buy you ice cream.
Oh, Lord, David. Lancaster going to have a lot of tourism this year. I can feel it.
I know. The little ice cream shop will be like, what's happening? All these people from all over the world's coming.
You stupid. All right, folks. He's going to get off the chain, I can tell. So let's go. All right, let's get to listening. Today we have stepmom Carolyn. Hey, Carolyn, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming. David's here
You're
too.
welcome.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, David.
Hey.
Lord helps, all I got to say.
Hey.
He's going to be like, hey, Carolyn.
Say my name.
Shut up. Okay. Sorry, folks. This has been a very interesting day so far. Carolyn, how long have you been blending?
I've been blending for 3 years.
And how many step kids, bio kids, ours kids?
I have 3 biological children and my partner has 3 biological children. So I have 2 boys and a girl and he has 3 girls.
Wow. And how old are they?
Well, my eldest son is 21. Then I have a 17-year-old son and then a 14-year-old daughter. And my partner's children are 13. She's a daughter. And then the next one is 11. And then the youngest daughter is 9. So, and we don't have any ours children.
Okay. So do your older sons still live with you?
My eldest son is at university in a different town. And so the rest of the kids live with us. So we have 5 kids in our house full time.
And 4 of them are girls.
And 4 of them are girls.
Man.
And only 2 of them are teenagers. Yeah.
About to get real.
Yeah. We're about to brace ourselves.
Man, you know, David having 4 boys and me having 1, I was so thankful that neither one of us had girls.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because girls are a whole different creature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably why he married you, because he wanted some boys in the family.
Maybe. Well, the thing is, he did say to me he always wanted a son, and I think he's really embraced the fact that I've got boys and he gets to spend time with the boys. So that's nice. But yeah, in some ways I feel like I can relate to girls pretty well because I am one of 5 kids and I have 3 sisters. So we had 1 brother and the rest of us are girls. And I'm a school teacher and I tend to, I find it easier to teach the girls than I do the boys. And I love teaching the boys, but they're definitely not as familiar to me as the girls. So hopefully, I mean, I'm speaking with ignorance here. Hopefully it might help a little bit.
Well, you're doing great. I just
thanks.
based that off of my niece. She's very clingy and very needy. So I couldn't imagine if David and I had girls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
plus,
can be tricky.
all the inappropriate stuff David says,
What are you talking about? I never say anything inappropriate.
Yeah, because I edited it all out.
It's because you're a button pusher, David.
Oh, she's a listener.
She knows you, David.
Oh, she got my card.
Yep. So how does it feel having all these kids? I mean, I know you had 3 yourself, but then now you have 4 at the home, but obviously you had 5 at one time, 6 at one time. Sorry, you've got 5 at home now.
Yeah, no, it feels good. I think I always wanted to have a large family, but when I was married to my ex-husband, after 3 children, it felt like that was enough because, I actually didn't really enjoy being pregnant, and it felt like it was fine. And part of me was always thought I would have a large family. So when I blended with my partner, now it feels good. We embrace having a large family, which is, I think, probably one of our strengths. Yeah.
Good. I love that.
Yeah, it's good for us, I think. You need to have that attitude. Otherwise, you would feel too flustered and too busy and like you weren't in control,
Yeah, you'd feel defeated.
That's it.
Overpowered and
I
outnumbered.
think once you get to 3 kids, it's almost like, what's a few more? But when you're
true.
like Lori, she comes in with 1 kid. So going from 1 to 5, she's freaking out.
Yeah, that must have been intense, Laurie, because I know my partner had dated a number of women previously who had 1 child, and for them it was too much. So I understand that. That must have been hard for you, Laurie.
It was very, very hard.
Yeah. For me, I'm like, what's 1 more? But then.
Yeah, I know. We think we've got our blinkers on, don't we, before we enter these things.
Mm-hmm. Well, how often do you have your kids, and how often are the stepkids there?
So the stepkids, they live with us full time because their mum sadly passed away. She passed away when the youngest was only 6 weeks old.
Oh gosh.
So yeah, she had cancer, and she didn't know that she was going to die, but it was only the day after that she had the baby that she learned that. So they had a very short time to deal with that, and then so that was a real sadness for them.
I just can't imagine. That's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible. And New Zealand is quite a small place, so it's often a tight-knit community depending on where you're from. And, the community really rallied around the family and my partner and his family, and also his late wife's family. Everybody was really supportive. So in that way, it's nice. But a large number of people knew about my partner and what he was going through, just because, stories go around and it was in the newspaper and those kinds of things. So he did get a lot of support. So, we have the daughters, we have his girls all the time, and they sometimes spend time with their mum's family on the farm in the holidays. Usually they go down to their mum's home, which is on a farm, and they love that. And I think for them, it's a real place of connection. Mm-hmm. So that's really nice. And of course, her parents just lap up any time with the girls, which is wonderful. And my children, they see their father in the holidays and the odd long weekends because he lives quite far away. He lives a good 6-hour drive away. So at times it's not that easy to just hop in the car and see the kids. So, we have the kids full time, basically.
Yeah. So with your ex living 6 hours away, who moved? You or him?
So at the moment, I'm living in a different town that I was living in when I separated from my husband. And he moved away. He wasn't in a very good place when we separated. And so he moved away. And I think that was good for him because it gave him time to heal and, just be himself again. So at that time, he moved away. That actually worked out, I guess, in my favour in terms of when I wanted to move in with my partner, because in New Zealand, you need to get permission if you want to move towns from the partner of your parent, of your children. So I didn't really have any issues there because he had already moved away. So that was quite good in some respect. I could move away. And so I'm not any further away, though. I kind of just moved along the map rather than down. So I'm not any further away from him. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really good that in New Zealand, you have to have the partner's permission to move.
It's great. It's great. And I think sometimes for people that can feel restricted, but it's awesome for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I had something similar like to that in my court papers, my divorce papers and custody papers, that neither of us could live, I think it was more than 30 miles away or something like that without, basically going back to court or something like that. So,
yeah, mine was similar.
Yeah. So it was, because I didn't know exactly where their mom would end up, landing. and so I was always afraid she would end up, going
next door.
Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't worried about that, but I was worried that she would, drive, go like 4 states away or something.
Yeah. and you don't want that for your kids.
No. So, yeah.
Well, and another reason it's really good is because I spoke to a lady earlier, and her husband's ex moved like an hour away. And I said, did she have to get permission through the court order? She said, no, the court order basically said she could move where she wanted to.
Wow.
And obviously he didn't realize how big of a deal that was until she'd moved.
Well, and in some ways it was sad for my kids, because I think at the time when, especially for my daughter, she was young, she was only 7. And I think she didn't really verbalize this to me, but I felt it, that she really struggled with the fact that her dad could move away, so that was tricky. I think she really clung to me. And I think that's how I got the message that she felt that difficult, because she was, she was constantly by my side. And I think for her, she felt that loss, that a parent could go. And,
right.
And that was really difficult for her. We do talk about her feelings a lot, and I think that's been good for her over time. And as you grow up, you sort of come to understand a few things that you don't necessarily think about when you're younger.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What about the younger kids with your significant other? How did they deal, or are they still dealing with the loss of their mom? Because one thing that people don't often understand is that even if mom's passed away, the role of mom is not available still in most cases. And so you still can't come in and go, I know your mom's not here anymore, and so I'm going to step into this role. Many times that's not something you can still do, because mom's still a thing,
That's exactly right. I think for the younger two, well, actually, the eldest remembers her mum the most. She was 4 when her mum passed away. And so she's, she has quite a few memories of her mum. And the second daughter, she was 2. So she has a few memories, and perhaps she looks at photos and thinks she remembers a bit more. But the youngest doesn't really have any memories. But definitely for the eldest daughter, she really struggles. She feels that loss, and she has a deep sadness that her mum isn't here. And, I think because she looks like her mum, and lots of people tell her she's like her mum. And, for her, I sometimes feel that she wants to live her life for her mum. And I feel like part of my role is to encourage her to just, act as if she's living a life that her mum would want her to live, rather than she's trying to make up for all the time her mum isn't here. And that can be really hard. But yeah, getting back to what you said about there not being a space for me being the mum, when I moved in, I ignorantly thought, yes, I will be a great mum to those girls. But the youngest, maybe she looks at me like a mother figure, but the other 2, I'm just a woman in the house with their dad, and they don't need me to be their mum, and their mum is in heaven, and she is, she still lives in their hearts, and that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just can't imagine. And I know this happens a lot, actually, where the birth mom will die not long after the kid's born for whatever reason, whether it's a brain aneurysm, cancer, whatever it may be. And I just can't imagine growing up always longing for your mom.
And I really think that the eldest daughter, she feels that. It's a deep sadness. And, especially every Mother's Day, or when it's her mother's birthday or the anniversary of her death, she gets quite sensitive about things that other people say. For example, she's 13 now, and it's quite common to, if you're that way inclined, you might whinge and moan to your friends about your mum, and she really struggles with that, because she would give anything to be mad at her mum, and she can't. Mm-hmm. But like I say to her, well, darling, you just have to pretend that you actually can whinge and moan about me if you want to. Like, I must be annoying to you at times. Why don't you just, you kind of have to rewire yourself to say, hey, well, yeah, I get annoyed at her too. She is really annoying sometimes, rather than it's directed at your mum, because she would love to be annoyed at her mum.
Yeah. You bring up an excellent mindset point, which is oftentimes when we look at things like the stepkids are driving me crazy, or the dirty dishes or the dirty clothes, there are some people that would say, I wish my kid was here to throw dirty clothes on the floor.
Yes.
I wish I could fuss at them. I wish. And sometimes you have to almost put yourself in that place just for a few minutes, just so you go, you know what? This is not as big of a deal as I'm making it. And I just need to be glad that things are the way they are, and give it the proper weight, emotional weight, and move on. That's
true. And I was listening to another one of your podcasts, Laurie, and you said you need to be grateful. Sometimes when you hear your spouse, for example, or when you were saying you heard David say something about your kids, you actually need to be grateful that they're thinking about those things. Because, it's those sorts of things you think, oh, well, I wish you noticed them about your own kids. But even if they're noticing them, they're noticing them. So you've got to be grateful for it. You have to turn it around, don't you?
Yes, you do. And, I know, and I say this all the time, it may seem drastic for you to say, yes, I'm glad that my stepkids can grab a Sharpie marker and draw all over my white leather couch. But again, there's somebody out there that would die to have 10 minutes with their kid to watch them scribble on a couch. And I know that's extreme. And I know that doesn't ease the struggles that other people are going through. But if you put yourself in that perspective, sometimes it lets you regroup and go, wait a minute. If somebody came to me today and said that my stepkid had terminal cancer, would I still be upset about that couch? No. If you would, something's wrong.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it gives you perspective. And that's how we learn empathy too, isn't it?
Yes.
Because our suffering is great. And, for the girls, especially the eldest, her suffering is pretty great.
Yeah. And that's, 9 years ago? Isn't that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So after 9 years, and it just goes to show that things like that, they don't just go away. And even when it's a divorce thing, some people still make that mistake of saying, well, they've been divorced for several years now, and I can move in and I can take on this role of being their mom. And you can't. It doesn't matter when the person leaves or passes away, or we've seen people where the mom is, just disappears, that she's not passed away or anything. She just doesn't.
She chooses not to be there.
Yeah, chooses not to be there, has drug addiction issues, just all these things. And the kids are left sitting there struggling with, my mom's still there, internally. And this other lady who's my stepmom is trying to take her role, and that's not available.
Right.
That's it. I remember when I was studying at university, and I took a community and family studies paper, which is basically social work. And I listened to a lady, and we had these things called, you go to a lecture and then you go to a tutorial. So it's kind of a smaller class, and you talk about the lecture and you talk about your assignments and bits and pieces, things that are coming up. And one of the ladies there, she talked about the fact that she was a child of divorce, and that she was from quite an abusive family. And on the outside, she said it looked as if she would be much better off without her parents, because she was actually put in foster care. But she said she didn't feel like that. She desperately wanted her mum and dad and to be in that environment again,
Yeah. And that's sad.
Well, it is sad, but it's just that blood is thicker than water, It's just that connection that you just can't take away from someone.
Right. Exactly. And I know my mom passed away 7 years ago. Yeah, 7 years ago. And then my sister passed away 5 years ago. And I remember after my mom died, Branson asked David, is Lori not over this yet? Kind of thing. I mean, I don't remember exactly how he said it. And he didn't mean it disrespectfully. No. But he's thinking, she's been dead a year. Why is she still crying sometimes? Or whatever time frame it was. You never stop grieving for those that you love that are not in your life in one way or another.
They're with you, and I think you just long for a hug, don't you? That's all you want.
Yep. You do. You're right. Or, you pray at night to dream about them.
I know. And if you do, isn't it so lovely?
No, because my mama still fusses at me.
Oh, funny.
She does. I'm not kidding. I'll tell David, I'll say, I dreamed about Mama and she was fussing at me for not knowing this or not knowing that or whatever. Don't I?
Yeah. Yeah. But
Oh,
it does.
You should be grateful for that, Laurie.
Yes, I am grateful. I am grateful.
But it does make me wonder, though, do you grieve because they're gone or do you grieve because of what you didn't do or did do while they were alive?
All of the above.
You know what I'm saying? I've been fortunate that I've not suffered a lot of family loss in my life, which is good, but it's also going to be bad because it's probably all going to happen within a short time frame. Because my grandmother's 95. No, she's older than 95. She's closer to 100 than 90. So she's 96 or 97. And honestly, I don't see her slowing down anytime soon.
No. She's going to outlive us.
Yeah. And I've had some other grandparents on my mom's side that passed. And I don't know. I guess I don't have as hard of a time with passing. You know, and maybe it's just because of my faith that I don't have a hard of a time with it. I don't know.
Well, and there's a difference when your grandparents die and a sibling or a parent.
Mm.
And you asked the reason that you're grieving. Well, with my mom, for instance, it's because of the bad things we went through, the things I wish I coulda, woulda, shoulda said or didn't say, or, whatever. But also, like Jackson growing up, she's not seeing those things. So when there's a milestone in your life, you miss them because they're not there to share that with you. Or when I'm sad and I need to complain about my husband, I can't call my mama no more.
Well, there's no reason to call your mom if that's why you're calling.
That's it, David.
She's going to tell you to suck it up.
But like the oldest stepdaughter here, she was 4. So she made the memory she had, I doubt, or, oh yeah, I made my mom mad and she fussed at me and I wish that wouldn't have happened. I doubt those are her memories. But she's still longing to share her life with her mom.
That's lovely for her, but actually at times it's difficult for me because I'm competing with this golden angel mother who she has no difficult memories of, and for me, when I have to come in, especially before I found you guys, the Nacho method, I really struggled with that because I was doing a lot of the parenting I wished that her mother could do, and I often asked my partner to communicate that to her and say, could you please talk to her and say, hey, if your mum was here, she's on the same wave as Carolyn, like this, she would be saying this. You don't remember those things, but she was saying those things. Like, picking up your clothes off the floor and those kinds of things, just normal parenting stuff.
Yeah, it's funny how when somebody passes away, they were the greatest gift to the world. They were always happy. They never complained. They never fussed at anybody. Life was just great. It was all rainbows and unicorns. And that is not the truth. I'm sure that mom got frustrated with that little girl at some point. Maybe even popped her hiney for doing something wrong. And but she's not going to remember that. She's not. And you're right. You're in competition with a saint, basically.
You've got it. And I am definitely no saint.
Oh boy. Do the kids have any issues with each other because of that? Like, does the youngest one look at the oldest girl and say, well, you're lucky you got memories. I don't know. I don't even know her. Or, please tell me about her. Or, is there any difficulties like that?
No, not at all. And, for the youngest, she has no idea what it's like to live with a mum. So for her, there's no sadness there.
Yeah.
And it's progressive. It's kind of on a scale. The middle daughter has a little bit of sadness, but not really, because she's only got fleeting memories really of her mother.
Right.
And I think also too with the eldest, she's naturally an empathetic, sympathetic kind of girl. So she's attaching to that as well. So it's personality type as well as, age and stage, I suppose. But the youngest, they never really argue about their mother. It's really just a lovely conversation, about her.
Yeah. Well, you bring up another good point, which is when kids are born into something, they don't know the difference, but we do. And we see this sometimes when people have ours kids, they'll say something like, they're going to notice that the stepson is able to not do their chores, and they're going to notice this, and they're going to feel this way about it. There's a lot of speculation there because honestly, they don't know any different. They're going to be
adult story.
Right. They don't know that there's differences happening. You do because you realize those things, but for them, this is normal. This is their normal life and has always been.
Well, I think chores they would notice, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So,
well, are you the first stepmom that they've had?
I am, but because my partner had a business where he traveled away at times in the weekends and bits and pieces like that, he actually from an early age, maybe from when the baby was 6 months old, he had au pairs come in. So before I came along, the girls had 14 different au pairs.
Wow.
Yeah, which was a lot. And in some ways it was lovely because they're open, welcoming girls to everybody. They are used to people coming in and out of their home, and they're just so open, and they're not nervous in a social situation or anything like that. They're very welcome and loving girls. But on the other side of that, for me, I felt like there was little inconsistency when it came to the typical jobs that mothers, or the roles that mothers would take on. They were just all over the show. And my bad coming in was that I came and thought, right, I'm going to sort this out, and this, and this, and this.
And how did that go for you?
Yeah.
Well, a thing like, if I give you an example of the sorts of things that I found were inconsistent with things like, there was often no hand towel in the bathroom. So the girls would go to the bathroom and then wash their hands, and then they would just walk down the hall and shake their hands, because, and to me, I was like, well, no, please don't take offense, David. It's a very blokey thing. Like, oh, well, there's no towel. I'll just shake my hands, and that was normal for them to just walk away and shake their hands. So they could be anywhere and be shaking water all over the place. And whereas I was like, okay, well, that's definitely something I need to fix, which is not a big deal. But so now we have a hand towel in the bathroom.
Oh.
Yes. Well, you said that being kind of blokey. Most boys don't wash their hands at all. So,
right. I know. I think there's a lot of things that they're actually quite lovely. They're daughters of a bloke, my girls. No, they are.
Well, you can't use toilet paper. Have you tried to dry your hands with toilet paper? It's impossible.
Well, that's right.
That's true. But they could also go get a hand towel.
That's too far.
I don't even think they knew the difference between a tea towel and a hand towel, because when I had a hand towel in the kitchen for drying hands, they would use the hand towel to dry the dishes. They just didn't know.
Oh, there's a difference?
David.
We've got to get you more culturized, honey.
Yeah. I was at a meeting earlier today, and these people were talking about catering, and they're talking about, I don't even know the words. There were some of these words they were using and talking about different kind of napkins and for different kind of things. I'm like, seriously, y'all? Just grab a big old roll of Bounty paper towels. You don't need napkins?
Yeah. That's one of the differences between girls and boys sometimes, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've got something unique with your blend.
Yes, we do.
Share that with us.
Well, two of our daughters have the same name.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
I think this is a first.
Really?
Yes, I think so.
Well, it actually goes further than that, and it's kind of creepy. Well, I don't know if it's creepy or not, but so both of our daughters have the same name. They're both called Sophia, and my daughter, her nickname is sometimes Fifi, so we get around that in the house by calling her Fifi. And then my partner's late wife, her parents have the same names as my parents.
Oh, wow.
I know.
That's creepy.
Weird.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Well,
So
with the 14 au pairs, is that how you say it?
Au pairs.
Au pairs.
au pair, yeah, au pair.
Did the kids look at you and say, I wonder how long she's going to be here?
I think so. They used to say, like, they haven't said it for a while, but they used to say things like, when you and Carolyn break up, Dad. And I was like, Hamish is like, that's never going to happen. And I was thinking, no, it's not. But, you can only really give them the test of time, can't you, to undo that?
Yes. Well,
yeah,
of course. How did that make you feel when they said that? Because we can laugh about it because we're on the other side of it. But I'm sure part of you're like, that kind of hurt.
Well, I, to be honest, I feel like my partner is so genuine, and I could tell that he really just was embracing having a partner. And I think when you move in with somebody, it's not just a fly by the night decision. It's quite a serious decision. So we had made that choice, and I felt like this was a genuine thing that we were going to move forward with. So it didn't bother me so much. And I understood from the girls' perspective, they have had people come and go. Why would they think any differently?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think that it would make it a little bit of a challenge in the beginning for them to want to have a relationship with you, because they're just
waiting for you to leave.
Yeah, it's like, well, every time I try to have a relationship with somebody and get to know them, they leave. And so why would I want to spend any time with this new lady?
Yeah, maybe. And I think, they're so, as I said before, they're pretty open girls. So they just kind of just go with the flow and are happy to have a good time. And they didn't really attach too much to that. And I think that's probably because of their dad. He's like that, he's just welcoming, and he just doesn't really, he doesn't sweat the small stuff so much. So I think they're like that too. So that's been good.
Okay. So when you came in, you were going to save the world. You were going to be the mom that these kids didn't have and make their life great again. What happened?
Well, I felt like a psycho. It was so hard. And I'm a school teacher. So in my head, I was thinking, I'm all over this. I understand children's behavior. It'll be tricky at times. And I'd only talked to one other couple who had come from a blended family before. I didn't know a lot of blended families. And I talked to one couple who they were friends with my mum, and they just kind of, I remember it now, they kind of gave each other this knowing look when I had said I was moving in with my partner. And I was like, it'll be fine. We're both school teachers, we know. And yeah, it was so difficult. I learned about myself. I knew I was a sensitive person, but I didn't realize how sensitive I was. Things used to just send me over the edge. I would take things so personally, the little things that they said for example, what my stepdaughter, one of them said to me once, "Oh, Carolyn, you've had your hair cut. It's short, isn't it? Oh, why did you get it cut like that?" And I just was, I don't know. I mean, normally if I wasn't so emotional, I probably would have gone, obviously you're not giving me a 10 out of 10 for my haircut.
Right.
And I got upset about it, and I talked to Hamish, and I said, you got to talk to your daughter. This is not okay. It's hurtful. And little things like that, I really got quite hurt by some of the things that the girls said. Yeah. And so I've had to learn to get a bit of a backbone.
Yes. It's not for the faint of heart, is it?
No, it is not. We're always learning.
Yes. So did you come in and try to parent them?
Yes. Yes, I did. And it wasn't until I really discovered you guys that I sort of had this epiphany where I was like, oh, there's some truth in this. I'd heard about disengaging before, and I thought, I'm not sure about that. I don't really know. But sometimes I would, if I was frustrated, I would write in my journal, and I would write things like, 0 F's given, like back up the truck, stop giving a shit, excuse my language.
You're fine.
And let the dad do it, and let Hamish do, this is not working. You can't just go in and take over, but it didn't, I don't know why that was. I don't think it was because I thought the girls don't need parenting. It was only because I couldn't cope with the situation. I was just constantly tense. I felt like if somebody asked me how I was just going to burst into tears and say I was terrible. It was so hard. And when you're a stepmom, you can't say that to people because they automatically, you can't say like you can with your own children, oh my God, the kids are driving me crazy. You cannot say that as a stepmom unless you're talking to another stepmom.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Amen.
Yeah.
And then they give you the wonderful advice of, well, you just need to love them more. You just need to do this more. You need to do that more. It's like saying, okay, Carolyn, I know that what you're trying is not working, but if you keep trying it more, it will work.
I know. And my sisters, also for me, I had to backtrack in time. So my youngest was 14. And then when I moved in with my partner, I'm going back 5 years in the parenting. So I'm coming back to all of those little habits that I had parented out of my children. And I found that so difficult. And I would talk to my sisters at times. They were the people I would vent to, which I do that a lot less these days because I realize they don't have the space for it. But, in the early days, my sister would say to me, but don't you remember your kids used to do that? And I'd be like, no, they didn't. They were perfect. You just forget. You forget all those little things that you complained about. And then all of a sudden you're complaining about them again. And it was so difficult for so long. I mean, sometimes I thought, why did I do this to myself? But I never really thought I'm going to pack up my bags and leave. You know, I thought I knew myself now before I moved in, but I definitely have met myself.
It definitely makes you more self-aware of all aspects of your life.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, you may have heard me say this in some of the past episodes, but it seems that teachers, coaches, people that have careers around children tend to have the biggest struggle. And I think that's because they approach the step family like they approach their career or their job role, similar to how we do it when we're approaching it like we did with our nuclear family, and we think it's going to work.
Well, you think you've got experience with kids, so you're set. You're one step above everybody else.
Well, that's it. But it's really just like a relationship. Just like you need to get to know your partner, you also need to get to know your stepkids. And that just takes time. It's just about smoothing out the kinks along the way, isn't it? And learning what buttons are getting pushed and what buttons not to push, you know?
And I think, too, people make the mistake of gauging everybody's relationship based on one relationship. So you kind of feel like, well, I got a great relationship with my significant other, so the kids should be okay.
Right.
And it's like, no, these are all individual relationships, and some of them, and they go at very different speeds, and some of them, you know, go much faster than the others, and you can't gauge them all the same.
Yeah, the relationships I have with your kids are different for each one.
The relationships I have with my own kids are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So how do the kids get along?
They get along pretty well. I don't recall any major scraps between my kids and my partner's children. But I definitely, for my children, I feel, I don't know, I tried to approach the situation with a lot of empathy for them. And I would often visit them in their rooms and talk to them in private and just say, hey, I know this is strange. You know, we're living in a new house, we're living with other children, and it's okay if you're frustrated or angry or whatever. I don't care. Just whatever you're feeling is okay. But, you know, my kids being teenagers, they're sort of, I don't know, when you're parents of teenagers, that you're cool for 5 minutes and then you're not cool for 95 minutes, you know, like, and they're a bit like that with the stepkids. At times they will let them in, and then my stepkids, they just lap it up. They love the attention from my children, but my kids are pretty reserved. So while I think the younger children have been more open to having the elder kids around, but then my kids are just slowly settling their way in, and I'm okay with that. I think it was difficult for my partner because he just felt like, and in some ways it still feels like that at times, you know, we're just two families living under one roof, and I'm okay with that. But I think he would like a bit more unity, you know.
Well, and that will come a time.
So.
But there will always be some type of separation because you are two different families trying to come together.
Yeah. But yeah, for the most part, the kids get along.
I wonder if your stepkids have ever, especially the younger one, has ever looked at your kids and thought, man, they've got a mom and I don't. Or even with the older stepkid, I wish my mom was still here to hug me goodnight and tell me goodnight and stuff. I mean, they may not talk to anybody about that, but we have seen where in similar situations where the moms passed, that the stepkid's like, well, it's great that you have a mom and all, and she's here for you, but I don't have one. And her doing those things for you, you know, you doing the things for your kids is almost a reminder to them that their mom's not there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense. And I think that happens on both sides. It definitely happens with the eldest stepdaughter. I see that a lot. I think I'm quite when I said I was a sensitive person, I can feel that if I'm giving my own daughter the love, you know, I can feel I need to share that with her as well, because she definitely feels that loss. And while she's got quite a strong connection with her own mum, you know, she does want that from me as well. But I think that her relationship with me and mine with her, that's been the most difficult for me, because she's very close to her father, and oftentimes I don't know where she's coming from in terms of, she makes it obvious that she would prefer things to happen from her father, which is fine. But oftentimes I know that this is where I need to improve on at the moment, is actually, you know, opening myself up to the fact that I need to go in there a bit more and be that mothering, gentle side that she needs at times. I am there for her at times, but other times she doesn't. I don't know if the opportunity is there for it. But also I want to say for my own kids as well, when a parent dies, you get a lot of sympathy, and, you know, the community wraps around you, especially for children. They kind of try to fill the gap in some ways. You know, there's a lot of attention that goes to a child of a parent who's died, but maybe I'm focusing on my children because this is what, you know, what your ego does is what about me? What about me? But I also feel like my kids have a loss too. And my kids, their dad moved away and he didn't die. He left, you know, which is kind of the same sort of loss. So at times I try to communicate that with my partner to say, you know, my kids have suffered a loss too. And actually, in some ways it's worse because Dad actually moved away. You know, he made a choice, whereas their mum, she never would have gone anywhere, you know. And that's been interesting. I kind of changed the topic a wee bit, but.
No, you're absolutely right. Because they're sitting there thinking, my dad has the ability to reach out and chooses not to every single day.
Yeah.
They have to live with that.
Yeah, I mean, they do have a good relationship with him, but he still moved town. And to me, I don't know about you, but as a mum, I just couldn't do that.
No way. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I'd be moving next door.
That's it. That's it.
Go ahead and try that.
Yeah.
Go move next door to your ex.
Yep. Put a string up with a little can on the end, talk to Jackson.
Little opening in the fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try not to get shot by the ex.
Buy a duplex.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Yeah. No.
Yeah, we talk sometimes with people who they live in the same neighborhood as their ex. And the kids can literally walk through the backyard to their exes. And I'm like, wow, that would be convenient for a lot of things, but it would be problematic for a lot of things too.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it would need to work, wouldn't it? It just depends on the individual.
Yeah, I can see it now. The kids getting mad. Well, I'm going to my mama's and traipsing through the backyard or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're not home. Sorry. Everybody cut the lights off.
Lori, the first thing that drew me to you was when I listened to your podcast and you were saying you were sitting in the car one day and you said, "Oh, dear Lord, please let that tree fall on my car." And I honestly, it was like a light turned on for me. And I thought, oh my God, I have felt like that. You want a disaster to happen so that you don't go back into that intense feeling of uncomfortableness.
Yes.
Yeah, I just love that so much.
Go in the convenience store and be like, I hope they're getting ready to get robbed.
Can I please get really ill and go to hospital so I don't have to be at home?
It's true. It's true.
And it's silly. You don't want to be sick. You just
want
feel
a break.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just want a break. You want things to be calm for a change.
That's it.
David doesn't understand that because he enjoys hecticness.
Hecticness?
Yep, that's a word. I just made it up, y'all. Hecticness.
I've never heard hecticness.
Yeah, the state of being hectic.
I understand what you're saying. Just didn't know it was a thing.
It is.
All right.
Well, think about it. With all the kids, you were used to
chaos.
Yes.
That's what it's called.
Chaoticness.
It's just chaos.
Chaos.
Yeah.
David likes chaos. Is that what it is?
Yep.
No.
It's just your comfortable zone.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's chaos.
Yeah. My partner has a chaos zone too. Like when I moved in, I think the biggest thing for me and my children was we didn't know how quiet our house was until we moved into the loud house. Loud. And everything was loud and shouting and just talking about everything loud. And it doesn't help that my partner's a little bit deaf either. So he actually has a louder than normal voice. And
the loud house.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I wish I would have thought of that.
Well, my house was loud because the kids were all trying to talk at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but they're all moved out now. It's still a loud house because for some reason, Lori and her son think that they can carry on conversations from one end of the house to the other with the doors closed between them. And they will try to have a conversation.
That's so funny.
Until Jackson goes, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
That sounds like our house.
I'm like, what are y'all doing? You're yelling at each other with the doors closed.
What's funny is David would complain about that. And then he would go stand at the bottom of the steps and holler upstairs for his kids.
Yeah, but that's different because
It was you.
well, that and there were no doors on the rooms upstairs. And so honestly, you could be talking downstairs and they would hear it upstairs.
That's funny because you could holler for them and they never responded.
No, that was to you. They never responded to you.
No. That was to you too there, buddy. See, you forgot all those things already.
Yeah. As Carolyn would say, my kids were perfect.
Yes, mine is too.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So how much contact does your ex have with your kids? I mean, as far as you know, do they text or communicate on a regular basis since he doesn't see them that much?
Well, because they're teenagers and they've got their own phones, they do communicate with their dad. And I don't think it's a lot, but they probably Snapchat him and talk. I don't know. They might talk maybe once or twice a fortnight, I suppose, but they definitely just keep in touch with the odd snap. But the communication has never been a lot.
Right.
And I think initially my focus was to say to them, hey, Dad loves you so much, even though they felt the loss, because I knew that he loved them so much as well. He moved away for a reason, which was to feel a bit better, and that's fine. Like, there was never any doubt in my mind that he didn't love the kids as much as I did. And I wanted them to know that. So I still think even though the communication isn't the same as me being right beside them, they still know that their dad loves them to bits.
Yes. And that's important.
Yeah.
It is important. It's so important.
So many people will do just the opposite and try to make it a game. Oh, your mom's not picking you up because, she doesn't love you like I do, or your dad, and it just, it might make you feel better that, oh, you're winning, but you're doing it at the expense of your kids.
That's it. And also, I forgot to mention, my eldest son, his dad is not the dad of my other two children. So he has a different father. And when I was overseas, when I was 24 and I was teaching in London, I accidentally got pregnant, which was, great news for my parents. Can you imagine?
Yeah, Lori did that too.
Yeah.
I don't know how people accidentally do that. It's like I'm just walking along one day and bam.
Yep. I'm coming home. So, for me, I had the experience of parenting with somebody else who was far away. And so with that dad, him and I made the goal of, hey, we're not going to be together, but we don't want this to be a big deal for our child. We want a happy kid. And I think we were both from similar families with similar values. So we knew how devastating it could be if you didn't have a parent there. And so we just made the best of that situation. So I think I had a little bit of practice in that respect in terms of supporting my ex-husband, because we just, we didn't, we obviously there's stuff that you've got to deal with when you end a marriage, but for us, I never wanted my kids to be damaged from him and I yelling at each other, or me saying, I hate your father, or, any of those things. And I even went, and this is true, I said to them, I still love your dad. He's your dad and I love him, but we just can't be married. And I think that has been good for us. Plus I also had that experience with my eldest son where we just prioritize the kid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that doesn't happen for everybody. And maybe it happened because I come from a family where there's good, open, honest conversation. To the point where sometimes it's too much. Like there's no secrets.
Mm-hmm.
But at least we say what we need to say. And I'm not the sort of person, and maybe that's my difficulty with being a stepmom, is actually, if I've got something on my mind, I just can't bury it in the garden. I actually have to say it. Otherwise, it will be a volcanic eruption if I leave it.
I used to be like that.
Yeah.
And let me tell you a trick that helped me
Mm-hmm.
is before I said it, I would think, is this going to benefit anyone?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to change anything? Is this coming from a place of love or anger?
That's it.
Because if it was coming from a place of anger, nobody was going to benefit from it. Nothing was going to change.
And when you're a stepmom, you don't want those sorts of situations to happen. And you're put in that position where you actually think, I've got to deal with this. Because otherwise, this is going to be consistent moving forward, isn't it? You actually have to say, this is not the hill I'm going to die on.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Lori.
So your oldest son, his father lived in a different country?
Yes, he lived in London for some years, and now he lives in Ireland. That's where he's from.
And how often does your son get to see him?
Well, back when my son was born, that we didn't have Skype. We started to get the odd, he bought a web camera when my son was about 1, and this was like brand new technology. And I sort of thought, well, how do you use this thing? I don't even know what this is. And we used it a couple of times, and then Skype, they used to communicate quite a lot on that. And then, you know, he's been a great dad, really. He has been, if you can think of an example of a dad who lived far away, who made the best effort, he's done that. My son is so lucky. You know, he would come and visit, and my son, he went to stay with his dad when he was 5 years old. My parents were going overseas. They were going to the UK, and so they took my son for 5 weeks, and I cried every single day. But I knew it was awesome for my son to spend that time with his dad, and his whole family just embraced him. And, you know, I'm so very grateful that in some ways, you know, he's got 2 loving families on both sides of the world. You know, he's a kid of the planet, and I don't know if that happens all the time. And I just think I'm so very lucky that his dad and I decided, let's prioritize this kid. And you can actually be a good parent from a distance. And, and having that example was how I knew that my own kids would be okay.
And you just touched on something that so many people don't get. We will see the stepmom's home with the stepkid and feels like that she has to do everything for them, when the dad's just working down the road, and he can call those kids on his break and tell them to do their homework or tell them to do their chores. Your ex was able to be a good parent to your son across the pond.
That's it. That's it. And the same with my ex-husband. He does the same. At times when I need him, I'm like, hey, Ollie needs a dad. He needs a chat with dad. He's being a dad. Can you ring him up? And he's good. He comes to the party, and it's great.
Yeah, that's good. I remember David's ex called one time and said that he needed to talk to one of the kids, that they weren't listening to her.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember, did you talk to him? I think you did.
I think I did one time, but it happened more than that. Because I do recall once me saying, look, this is your problem. You've got to figure this out. You know, I can't be there to bail you out of your inability to parent these kids.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of felt like through a lot of my divorced years that I was trying to teach her how to parent, which sounds crazy, because you would think that her being their mom and she was stay-at-home mom, that she would have it, you know, a better relationship with them than I did and parent them better than I did, but that wasn't the case.
And perhaps too, she's doing what she knows, right? So you might have had the benefit of a good mom, but she might not have. And she's just doing what she knows. So yeah, but there's nothing like being told, hey, you've got to stand on your own 2 feet and put your big girl undies on.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a point at which, and this goes toward a lot of things in life, but there's a point at which you're not helping somebody anymore. You're actually in the way of them learning.
Or you're enabling them to not learn.
Yeah. So I've done that before with, trying to help somebody financially. At some point, you're not helping anymore. You're actually hurting them because they're not learning their lesson.
That's it. And that comes with like me venting to my sisters. I got to the point where I could feel that they just didn't have that space anymore. And I was like, oh no, these girls are my life force. What am I going to do? I can't talk to the tree.
Yeah.
I did actually talk to the tree.
Yeah. That's when you go, well, please follow my car.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So what was the clue when you would call your sisters that they didn't have enough space? Is it because they would answer the phone and say, what, Carolyn?
No, they weren't answering. They would just text back and say, I'll call you back later.
And never call back.
I think I just felt like a sense of resistance from them, and I also kind of picked up on the fact that I thought, we've been here before, I'm on repeat here.
Yes.
And if you're on repeat, and I know, from my experience of talking to other people, if I think they're on repeat, I'm thinking, I got a sense of, I'm on repeat and this is boring to them and I'm not listening.
Mm-hmm.
And they're running out of patience. And I really felt that. And for a while I got sad and I felt so lonely because I thought, well, I need to talk to my sisters and they don't understand because they're not a stepmom, and I really didn't know a lot of stepmoms. And I think that's when I really dug deep into just looking for podcasts and Instagram pages where there's support for step parents. And I didn't want to bitch and moan about the kids. I just wanted support to feel better because I wanted to do a better job.
Yeah.
Right. And there's a difference.
There is a difference.
One thing that we do see sometimes, though, that kind of backfires on people is they run to the people they love to complain about the other people they love, which creates animosity between the two. Because, for example, if I ran to my parents and complained about Lori, they would start developing resentment toward Lori. Mm-hmm. And then once I've made up with Lori, we're in a better place. My parents are still mad at her. You know, they still have this resentment toward her for what happened. Mm-hmm. And so you end up creating these very different feelings with one side of the people that you love toward the other side because of it.
That's it.
Yeah, and that even happens with your kids. Your kid does something to hurt you, and you are so quick to forgive them once things have calmed down. Whereas I'm like, you don't remember what they did to you?
Mm.
But I do understand they're your kid.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That definitely happens.
That's what's nice about unconditional love, isn't it? And I think that's what you fight when you're a step parent. You want that, but it doesn't come easily.
Right. It doesn't come naturally.
Yeah.
No.
For some people,
and you can have all the love in the world and be Mother Teresa and, the Dalai Lama. I used to think, I know all of those things. I know about love and kindness, and how come I'm not feeling that?
Mm-hmm. Especially you being an empath, that probably was even more weird for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Being an empath is not easy.
No, it is not. And I'm just coming to terms with the fact that it's okay that I cry about stuff, and I've got to love that about me. And, at times it's good that you understand someone's suffering because you might be there for someone who needs you one day. But in the same respect, you've just got to accept the fact that you might have a bit of suffering yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So your significant other probably doesn't watch TV with you because you cry at every show.
Well, he likes to watch, guns and murder, and I like to watch love stories and happy endings.
Movies that make you cry.
And so I can see he will suffer through a chick flick with me.
Yeah, but sometimes I cry at just the beauty of a firearm.
Oh, Lord.
That was such a beautiful kill.
Okay.
My partner would be exactly the same. We've got duck shooting coming up in New Zealand, which is a massive open day, and it's like a big deal for most of the hunting blokes. And my partner is going duck shooting next weekend, and wow, there's nothing more emotionally beautiful for him.
Yeah. I've got this shotgun that I bought recently, and I was showing it off to somebody the other day, and I was like, isn't this beautiful? It's like a work of art.
Lord, what do you think, Laurie? You like that murder weapon?
I do like the guns, but
that's good.
I don't look at them as beautiful. I'm like, those are cool.
Right.
Not like my flowers, I bought these flowers the other day for myself, the hanging baskets outside, and I look at them and I'm like, they're so pretty. And I wanted to say, you said that you talked to the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to lizards.
Oh, that's nice.
I talked to any animal that I thought was looking my way because I needed somebody to hear me crying on that front porch about how miserable I was.
Right. And they probably were listening to you, Laurie.
They were.
That's why they all left.
Well, I knew that my mom wouldn't understand because she just wouldn't. She loved David, so.
She was a good woman.
And I didn't have any friends that were really in step-family relationships.
Because they love me too.
Except for this
You're
one.
a dreamboat, David.
Yes, he is. Boy, I won the lottery on this one.
Yes, you did. I don't know how you did it.
I don't either. Refund.
What?
But I did have this one friend, but I almost got to the point sometimes that I was tired of hearing it. So I knew she was.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like somebody would say, how are you doing? Or what's going on with the stepkids? And you're like, God, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't even want to relive the hurt and emotion that I have for all this.
Angry all over again.
Yeah.
But that's good. Don't you feel like that's almost part of getting better?
Saying it all over again?
No, that you don't want to talk about it. That you've had enough,
I think in some ways, but in other ways, it was just more of out of frustration.
Yeah, like they're not hearing you.
Yeah, because I know when David and I actually tried to do this podcast, well, we've been doing it almost 3 years now. So I don't know, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. We started the podcast 6 or 7 years ago initially. I think we got 3 episodes in.
And I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It brought up so many bad memories that after we would record, I would just go to bed and my mind would just spiral with all those negative thoughts. And, I thought to myself, I'm like, well, we're in a much better place. So I didn't understand it. But I think it's because you're trying to help other people and you pick up on their stuff. So I would read a story in the Facebook group and I would be mad at my stepkids for something that somebody else's stepkids did to them.
You stay mad at me.
That's easy to do.
Yeah. Sometimes she wakes up in the mornings like, you cheated on me last night and I'm not happy with you. Don't talk to me right now. I'm like, what?
You're in the dog box.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I'm sitting there minding my own business. Then I remember what happened when she was minding her own business one day. As the story goes, that's how she got pregnant.
I wasn't minding my own business.
Her
Let's not go down this
her
path.
ex said, I was just sitting there minding my own business. And she got pregnant. I'm like, okay. So I'm careful not to use that term, minding my own business, because that might mean something else.
Yeah.
I'll go there.
Yeah, don't go there.
Yeah. Like I wouldn't go to London and visit because, might come back knocked up.
I love London. We plan to go back one day.
Great city.
Who's we?
Yes.
I've never been.
Well, me and myself and I.
Well, now that we got contacts in New Zealand, I want to go see the Kiwis.
Yes, come to New Zealand. It's a beautiful place.
Did you say what are the Kiwis?
Uh-huh.
Oh, Carolyn, do you want to tell her what the Kiwis are?
Is it a kiwi?
Do you not know what a kiwi is, Laurie?
Yeah. Is that where they come from?
Not the kiwi fruit or the kiwi bird?
Oh, I was thinking fruit.
Okay, well, I'm going to send you a little picture of a kiwi bird. Well, you should just Google it. They're flightless birds. They're a native bird. So that's why we get called a kiwi, because we associate with kiwi, because it's a native bird to New Zealand, and it's this little flightless bird. It's nocturnal, and it's got a massive, big, long, skinny beak.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cute.
Yeah.
Is it a really bird? Is it really a bird if it can't fly?
Yeah.
Well, is
like a
penguin
chicken.
a bird?
Chickens can
It
fly.
has wings. Yeah, it has wings, but it's flightless. So
Flightless bird.
yeah,
Yep.
and those are the kiwis, which you sometimes, if you see the kiwis, well, in New Zealand we see them a lot. We see kiwi, and it's just makes you think of New Zealand, really.
Yep. So that's what they call people from New Zealand. They call them Kiwis.
Did not know that. Look, I
It's
learned
not because
something
of the kiwi
new.
fruit, because the kiwi fruit is actually originally from China.
Yep. It's
Did
the-
not know that
it's
either.
the bird.
Oh my Lord, it looks like an anteater.
It does. They're so cute though, and I mean they're limited in their numbers, so it's pretty rare to see a kiwi in the wild, and you have to go to specific places to see them. But they're quite lovely.
Oh, they don't even have wings, do they?
Yeah, pretty sure. Well, it is a bird.
I don't know.
Geez, that
I'm
would
looking
be
at the
embarrassing.
pictures on Google, and it doesn't look like they have wings.
Oh wait,
Well,
no, I
it doesn't,
don't
does
know.
it?
I don't know.
It looks like a cross between a mole and an anteater and
A
a
mole?
chicken or something.
A duck.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely feathery.
It's got little whiskers too.
Yeah, they're pretty cute.
They're pretty cute.
They make cute
Only
little
their
noise.
mother would say that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right, y'all, look up kiwi. Everybody look up a kiwi bird. Awesome.
Yeah.
And they're about the size of a domestic chicken.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, they look tiny in here.
Yep. Learn something new.
You do.
See-
The Department of Conservation spends quite a bit of time sort of trying to bring up the chicks. They number all the birds and monitor them pretty closely.
So they're protected. They're a protected
Yes,
species.
because there's a lot of pests and things that are a danger to them.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thank you for sharing that.
You're very welcome.
See,
We're going to donate to the Kiwi Bird Foundation.
the Kiwi
Fun,
Bird
good
Foundation.
Yeah. We got to save the Kiwi birds.
We
Yep.
do.
So
Oh,
all
thanks.
the proceeds on this episode will go to the Kiwi Foundation.
We've guys should feel very proud of yourselves.
I do.
Well, just for those wondering, you cannot own a kiwi bird as a pet.
No, that's true.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So, no, David, you're not getting one.
Oh, man.
Yep.
No.
Well, Carolyn, what would you say you would share as advice if you had a lady that came up to you in a restaurant and said, I saw your stepmom light on above your head. I'm getting ready to be in a relationship with a man with kids. Give me some advice. What would you say to her?
I would say get a counselor, and I would say just make sure you're up for the challenge. Like it's going to be a challenge. Even if you think you know yourself, you will learn new parts of yourself that you didn't think were in there.
Mm-hmm.
And really I guess the outcome is up to you. But I also speak from a place that doesn't deal with a high conflict ex. That's not a part of our lives. And so for us, I don't really know that side of things. So I think every situation is different.
Yeah, you're right.
But I would definitely say get a counselor, have somebody who is a neutral person that you can talk to, and often they're a voice of reason. Maybe it takes a while to potentially find someone who's the right person, but I talked to a lady and she's great, and I think that's really helpful. And maybe just do what you can to build a sense of community, even if it's Instagram or listening to podcasts or anything like that, so that you've got a place where when you're feeling lonely, you feel less lonely, because anything that comes up is normal, but it can be really, really difficult.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely agree with the counselor part. I was actually talking to an attorney one day, and he said he was in a meeting and that one of the other attorneys said, oh, yeah, I started seeing a counselor 10 years ago, and I go once a week. It's the best thing I've ever done. He said, and then the next guy goes, oh, yeah, I go to mine once every 2 weeks. I might need to go once a week. And he said, all these attorneys start talking about it. And he was like, oh, I'm scared. All y'all are going to counseling. And they're like, it's the best thing that they can do, because they deal with a lot of things that are difficult, painful, and they don't realize that they carry that stuff with them. And in order for them to want to get up and go to work the next day, they need to be able to talk through those things, and they can't legally talk to their wives about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's becoming more common. I don't know what it's like in the States, but in New Zealand, it's probably traditionally been a very private thing. It's not something that you would expose about yourself, that you see a counselor, But I think that because lately there's been quite a big focus on mental health and talking about stuff, and I feel like I'm at a place where I'm okay to say, hey, I talked to somebody and, she's really helpful. Whereas I don't think even maybe 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been ready to say that. But, I would 100% recommend that somebody just has a counselor, because, they are a voice of reason. They've got the training. They understand the right way to point out to you where you might like to see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And two, I do think things are changing in the United States about that too. It's not as taboo to have a counselor or a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
But I do caution people with, especially Facebook, you can let somebody else's stories trigger you and fire up your anger. So be careful that you're not sitting there wallowing in somebody else's mess and just feeding your own hurt, because that's not healthy. And it's okay to vent.
Yeah. But you do. I have been through that too. Oftentimes, if I listen to a podcast, it would make me think about a situation that was similar to mine, and then I'd be mad about that again. Mm-hmm. And that's not healthy.
Yeah. It's easy to do, but that's one of the things that, we teach in the Nacho Kids Academy, is how to take those negative thoughts and turn them into positive thoughts. That's
it. And hey, what's this teaching me? And what's so bad about right now?
Right.
What is happening right now? And also keeping in mind that you're the adult. These kids need you to teach them how to make good choices. And if you want to do a good job like I do, I actually have to model that. And, in the early days, I did not model that very well. And I'm still learning, There's still times when I want to run off to my room and shut the door. And, it's really hard to sit there in an uncomfortable situation and sit there and do the right thing when you're raging mad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's when you go, oh, bathroom break.
Yeah.
That's it. And everyone learns, don't they? You learn how you get about that is totally up to you. Maybe it is that. Maybe you go for a bathroom break, or maybe you make a joke, or like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah. My son used to say that when people would talk about things that he wasn't interested in, that he would play Minecraft in his head.
Perfect.
It
it's
is
like counting the hats in church, isn't it? It's like,
yes.
When is this finishing?
Counting the ceiling tiles.
That's it. And actually, I have an example. I used to get mad at my daughter because my stepdaughter, because we have a dog and it's an outside dog. And I have come from a home where we didn't have a dog. So I like dogs, but I'm not really a dog inside the house person.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes she wants the dog to come inside, but the dog is a big dog and it wags its tail, and it's, it's a better dog for being outside. And oftentimes she would sort of open the door a bit and let the dog in a little bit. And over time, I've seen that. I know that she lets the dog in if I'm not there, just even if it's just to sit on the carpet. And one time I had shut the door on the dog, and for her, she sees it like I'm shutting the dog out of the family. Whereas for me, I just don't want the dog inside. But I left the dinner table once after shutting the door because the dog was coming inside. And then I went to my room. And then when I left the room, my stepdaughter opened the door and the dog came in. And, I got mad at my stepdaughter because I said, you just waited till I left and then you opened the door after you'd seen me shut it and put the dog out because you thought now that I'm not there, it doesn't matter. And when I talked to my counselor about the fact that I was mad about it, she said, we talk about maybe a different way of looking at things. So what I could have done instead of getting mad with her was saying, oh, I know you really love your dog. Let me get the door for you and you can go outside and play with him, rather than me getting growly. And as an adult, you need to model that to your kids, don't you? Otherwise, you're still basically a child in a big person's body.
That is a good point.
Yeah. Dealing with those things, it takes skill to do that. And I think that's where counselors and the coaches and therapists, I think that's where they come in, is they help you look at things and go, okay, this is what happened. Let's look at some other ways you could have handled this. And after you do that a few times, you start doing it kind of live. Like when something happens, you start asking yourself, is this the best way to handle that? What if I do this and this happens? And that little bit of pause gives you what you need to start making better decisions. And then you don't react to things. You then start responding, which is a very different outcome.
Right. And that's just the journey of getting to know yourself.
Yeah. Yep, it is.
Yes, definitely. But look how much you've grown.
I know. Isn't it great?
It is. It really is, because it has changed me so much, and in a positive way. I no longer get upset about cars riding my butt driving down the road.
Yeah.
I no longer let things make me mad for an extended period of time. If I'm going to be mad, be mad. It's okay to be mad. Like you said, you don't want to be like a volcano and erupt. Go outside, be mad, talk to the dog, tell the dog, I'm mad, and this is why I'm mad. And after a few minutes, you're like, okay, I'm done. And then you look at the clock and you're like, I've still got 3 more minutes to sit here and complain. But don't let things steal your joy. And especially don't spend so much time trying to point out what your stepkids are doing wrong that you miss out on a relationship with your own kids or your significant other.
That's right. And actually, you bring up a good point, Laurie, because there was a really big moment for me with my own daughter. Her and I were driving to the supermarket, and my stepdaughter had done something that had made me cross, and I was having a vent about it. I didn't give her specifics, but I just mentioned the fact that I was a bit mad at my stepdaughter, and my own daughter was feeling quite close to the stepdaughter. They were hanging out quite a lot and doing stuff. And I could tell that I'd offended my stepdaughter by saying those things. And I thought, hang on a minute, she doesn't have the space for this. And I'm venting about something that, that's affecting my daughter, and I don't want that. So I had to stop that. And that was good for me. I'm so glad I picked up on that.
Yes.
Yeah, because I don't think, if I hadn't had the awareness that she didn't want to hear it, and it wasn't like I was in a habit of venting to her. I don't even know what it was, but I just thought, oh my gosh, I can't talk to my daughter like this. I actually can't, and I shouldn't, and stop it.
And it's okay to apologize.
Totally. And it was good because it stopped me doing that.
You've come a long way, baby.
I have, haven't I? I need to print myself a certificate.
Yes, you do. We should all do that.
But I think, what else have I got to learn? I'm only 3 years in. I can't wait to figure out what else I need to know. There's always another corner, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the beauty of it is, and this is where you have to embrace it, is you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And once you embrace that, the cliche term, you start to realize, wow, there's a whole bunch of learning to happen. And the more I know, the better off I am and everybody around me.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yes. And what we learn, we can pass on to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
And then they can ignore you and do their own thing.
And then realize how right you were and apologize later.
You've got it.
Yep.
20 years later.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Carolyn, thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast and sharing your story with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And speaking of not knowing what you don't know, Lori learned what a Kiwi was.
Yes.
Good. Woohoo.
Well, it's funny because as you just said that, David, somewhere in the back of my brain, it said, you did know that, Lori.
Oh, did you?
I did, apparently.
You might.
That's what that little voice just told me.
Yeah.
Fluff.
Well, that's how you know you're getting old, when you say, I've forgotten more than I know.
Yes.
Mm.
That happens a lot.
Here's my car.
Where's my car? Yeah. No kidding. Dude,
Under the tree.
I did that the other day. Like, I went to somewhere and I went into the place and got whatever I was going to get, came back out. It probably wasn't 5 minutes later. And I'm like, I actually forgot where I parked in 5 minutes.
What's bad is I will look at the sign that says what row I'm on. And then that's what I should do, because by the time I get in the store, I'm like, crap, what number was that? And I write on my hands constantly, to remind myself things. Go to pick up your prescription, go to pick up Jackson's dry cleaning, whatever.
Yeah. And we both drive cars that a lot of people have, like and same color and everything. So it's nothing for me to walk up to another car like mine and like, I don't remember parking here. I'm like, oh, wait a minute, it's not my car.
Yeah, I've tried to get in somebody else's car before. I think you were with me when I did that.
It's because they park right beside us. The exact same kind of car, same color and everything, park right beside us. And I'm sitting in the car, and she goes up and pulls on the handle of the other car, and I'm just rolling laughing.
What can you do?
Yes.
Pretty funny.
Yep. All right, Carolyn, thanks again.
You're welcome.
I'll let you know when we release this, and let us know if you have any questions or anything. But it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, lovely to talk to you guys too. Thank you for having me. You've been a great help to me.
Stay in touch. You can come back in 3 years and tell us what else you've learned.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes.
All right.
Have a good night.
All right, bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye. One thing that Carolyn talks about is how she took things the stepkids said personally. That is so easy to do.
Yep.
And we've talked about this before, especially if the stepkids say, I hate you, Carolyn.
That doesn't sound personal at all.
Right. Or they leave a note, I hate you, stepmom. How do you not take it that personally? Because you step back and realize these kids are struggling, and it's not you, but it's what you represent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me say, I will add something. If you are like the evil stepmother in Cinderella, it might be you.
It might very well be you.
So I can't say it always isn't you.
Yep. That would be funny, though. Somebody's like, see, it ain't me. It's what I represent.
Yeah, it's what I represent. And I represent the evil stepmother on Cinderella.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the hardest part of all this, though, and you've mentioned it before, but it's always good to go back and mention it again, that figuring out what place or what part that you have in what's going on. So when you're having problems and your family's having blended problems or whatever, sit back and say, what part do I have in this? Where is it that I'm contributing to this problem? And oftentimes you'll find that there's something there that
but a lot of people, and you know this, a lot of people will say, it's not me, it's those kids.
Well, I'm sure they will, but that's why it takes, really sitting down and thinking about it. I'm not saying that the kids aren't part of the problem, but rarely rarely will you not be part of the problem in some way. May be a small percentage of it, but something. It could be the fact that you're reacting to their, problems in the wrong way. And so you're basically just causing the snowball to keep rolling. Whatever it is, everybody is usually playing a role and a part in it. But figuring out what your part is essential, because I have yet to find a time when I could honestly say, oh my goodness, I can't believe you didn't play a single part in this problem. I've not found that yet.
Well, and here's the thing. You being a majority of the problem can be looked at in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to me, folks. Listen to me. Hear me out. It just means that you have a strong presence.
Well, it also means you have the ability to actually fix the problem.
Right.
If the majority of the problem is somebody else, you've got less power and control. If you are a majority of the problem, and I know people are like, I ain't me, but no, okay, hear me out. If you are a majority of the problem, then it's easier to affect change because you can control you.
And you will be surprised once you lower your stress, how it affects everybody in your household, everybody at work, the poor lady at Chick-fil-A. When you lower your stress, people notice a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because when you're stressed, you take it out on everybody.
Yes.
David. Lord knows I do. I'll be driving down the road. The idiot, get out of the way.
I know. That's why the other day I was like, you need to let me drive.
Yeah.
We can't be playing this right now.
It's probably a good thing they don't have like bumper cars on the road. I would.
Yeah,
I'd
that's a
definitely
good
be
thing.
doing that. Yeah, I would. I would definitely be bumping people.
I would too, but for fun. You would be doing it out of anger.
Yeah, but
that's the difference.
But I don't get all road ragey. It's not like I want to pull over and get out of my car or, do something stupid.
When you get angry, it makes me want you to pull over and me get out of your car.
No, but it's not like
yes.
I'm going
to record you and put it on here one day.
Oh, it's funny, I'm sure. But
it's scary.
But I don't flip people off and do kind of crazy stuff like that. I just,
you can't do that around here. Somebody shoot you.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it anyway. So it's not like, even though I get angry with people as I'm driving, and it ain't road rage. It ain't nowhere near road rage.
Well, I have to say, there's too many people that I've seen flip me off and cuss at me with their kids in the car. And I'm like, oh, good parental influence there.
Yeah.
But they're probably a stepmom, so it don't matter.
No. I like those people that cross the yellow line on my side of the road and they look at me like it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait a minute, you just about hit me in my lane.
You shouldn't have been over that far.
I know. So anyway,
there's
always room for improvement, even for me.
Always room for improvement, even for David, y'all. I've got that on recording.
For everybody. Everybody has room for improvement. Just a little bit every day. If you're just a little bit of improvement every day, is all it takes.
I don't know if y'all remember any of this, but there in the beginning of our podcast, there were a lot of times that somebody would tell David, well, and it was probably because you were on more of the recordings then, but they'd say, you're right, David, you're right. And I'm like, oh my God, don't tell him that. Y'all don't understand what that does to my life.
What?
And so I got David a shirt that says #David is right.
Yeah, you did.
I got me one too. But anyway, that reminds me, y'all. If you do not know, we have a Nacho Kids store.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Yes, we do. NachoKids.com/store.
Maybe I should put the #David is right shirt in there.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should.
If anybody buys that, I'd be laughing.
There's actually a few that I want to add, so I need to get you to show me how you were doing that. But anyway.
Yeah, go check it out. A lot of step family memorabilia. It's a lot of step family stuff. It's T-shirts and coffee mugs and stuff like that.
Sweatshirts and stickers and, like you said, all kind of stuff. And they do have sales quite frequently. But pay attention if you order a shirt or a sweatshirt or anything. They will tell you if it runs small or whatever, because sometimes you have to go up even 2 sizes.
Mm-hmm.
So just pay attention to that. But anyway, nachokids.com/store.
Yeah, I like the soft shirt. Matter of fact, I'm wearing one of them now.
Yes, you are.
I like these soft shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, check them out. And if, by the way, if you go there and you don't see something that you're looking for, you'd like something, let us know. Like we've had people ask for certain types of shirts in the past, something on it, they want it. And if it's, if it's something that's not just unique to you, like for example, I don't want somebody to say, I want a shirt that says Felicia is a great stepmom. That's a little too personalized there. I'm not going to do that, but other than that, I will consider it.
Yeah, but if you want one that says, I am a freaking awesome stepmom.
Yeah,
we can do that.
I'll do that one. Yeah. How about a shirt that says, I'm part of the problem?
We're going to have to start recording video on these so people can see my face when I respond or react to you.
How about I'm part of the solution? There you go.
That might be better, David. All right.
All right.
Come on, I'm ready to go get ice cream.
Okay, let's go then. Thanks for listening, folks. Be sure to join us next week. And remember, life is good
when you nacho
and get ice cream.
I was going to say that.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nacho Kids Podcast. Find us online at nachokids.com. Until next time, remember, life is good when you nacho.